I'm very grateful that you come and share in this experience with me. Many of you have practiced now for quite a while, a long time, and it's a very, very demanding transformation process, as I'm sure some of you have experienced and some of you will experience if you delve more deeply into it. So the purpose of this session today is to give some support in the transformation process and give maybe some additional information that will help clarify what is behind this in a way of tradition. Please just ask about things that are relevant to you, because it has to be relevant to you, otherwise why bother? You know, we're not doing this for anything other than to experience that transformation. And the reason I call it rising energy practice is that you can literally feel yourself rising above your limited being. And this is something that you'll have to work at and relate to yourself. But by doing the practice regularly and deeply over time, that experience does come, because your attention on your inner system makes the tensions and the material, the dust of your everyday life, which the Taoists like to call it. You know, you drown in the dust of everyday experience, which is what most people do. You become overwhelmed by that. And the material that we are drowning in the way of tensions and blocks and difficulties, once we learn how to really go deeply inside and open in the way that we have been doing together, then these inner crystallizations start to melt, dissolve. And I know some of you have experienced that, and it's an ongoing process because there are so many layers of identity and stuff inside. Really, the main issue as far as health, mental health, any kind of health and any kind of growth, the main issue is a kind of deep stress that comes from being stuck in these various patterns. And the body has the ability to heal itself on every level, physically, mentally, emotionally. But in order to do that, going deeply into these layers of identity and discovering what the deepest cause of life is, and therefore what we are, that cleans the spirit, it cleans your system, so that these tensions don't create problems but become a source of upliftment. When it gets heated up enough, it rises, and you can feel it sometimes as kind of champagne bubbles moving up the spine, or you feel sometimes pressure down there, and gradually it will start to rise like a steam. You know, what is ice becomes water, flow, it heats up with your attention, and then it rises and purifies. And as this starts to happen, you will definitely feel your awareness of life changing. And you will feel your environment responding to you differently. than before. I know some of you have experienced that already, and more and more is better and better. But it takes a certain amount of courage, it takes a certain amount of persistence and perseverance, because it doesn't happen without regular practice. So, very simply put, I like to call it the bird of rising energy practice. It has 2 wings and a body. It needs that to fly. It needs that to rise. So the one wing is the deep wish. In a way, it's using your will. You have to make an effort. Which some traditions say, no, you don't make any effort, you just go directly there. Well, I think that opens for a lot of illusion. So some effort is required, really bringing your attention into your heart, feeling it open, bringing it into the deeper chakras, and really gradually walking through this doorway into silence and pure potential and pure energy. This has to happen, and it doesn't happen without a deep wish and a deep dedication. And then the second wing, if you only have one wing, if you only push, will, I want. Well, we did some of that in the beginning with Rudy because, it was like stretch. And of course, people had all kinds of kriyas and, it was very intense. But in the beginning, it wasn't so clear what is surrender. Rudy used to talk about it all the time. You have to surrender. Surrender is the key. Letting go, letting go, letting go. Gradually, I at least learned about that and could see what that meant. It just meant not holding on to anything that comes up. But that's very challenging, very difficult. But gradually you learn the benefits of it, and you learn that this deeper energy, this deeper space that you open to is much more intelligent than your identity, than your lower self with its ego layers. So the second wing is surrender, wish and surrender. Of course, but you also have to have a body. A bird has to have a body. And the body in the practice is life. This is what we are eating. We are taking it in, but we are transforming it. We're not getting stuck on it. We are, in the tantric tradition, it's embracing life. Embrace yourself, embrace life. And in that embrace, if you can do it without chasing and clinging, to use the Buddhist words, then liberation happens. It's the clinging, it's the chasing, always thinking that there's something out there that I can get a hold of, and then clinging to what I got a hold of. This is what keeps the energy from flowing. It's what keeps, the bird from flying. So it's really very simple, but it does require conscious attention. But it's a very important balance, this wishing and letting go and using your life. That's using this body. If we didn't have this body, we don't have any conscious spirit anymore. So use it while you got it. Paradoxically, using the body to penetrate into the deepest self. You'll see that basically we are trying to to nurture a spirit body that can exist independently of the body. And that takes a long time to develop, but it's worth doing. Then we can die with a liberated vibration left behind. As those of you who have been to India has seen with Nityananda, there's a vibration there still. It's his spiritual being. It's still alive, very much. And if we don't do that, then what happens is gradually the tensions eat up our life force, and we're not investing into something that can be liberated. And then you get recycled and become a hungry ghost and come back and do it again. Right? I don't mean that, arrogantly, but it's unfortunately what happens. So it's really a lot more serious matter than most people like to think about. It's much more serious. It's not heavy. It's got to be light, but serious.